So have you ever heard of the Japanese Shinto practice of misogi? In a sense, it's a ritual purification that includes washing in extremely cold water. Now from this, in the last few years, we've seen people popularize the misogi challenge. And that's the idea that you take on a challenge so difficult, you've only got a 50% chance to complete it. But if you are able to, for the next year, you're going to look back on that and say, wow, that was amazing. And even if you fail, the fact that you actually put forth your best effort is going to show you what you're capable of. In the fitness world, I've seen tons of examples, 12-hour challenges from 6 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning, basically continuous exercise with a few rests here or there so that you can actually see what your body's capable. And a well-known example is the Murph. This is a 1-mile run. 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and then another 1-mile run, all while wearing a 20-pound vest. And the challenge doesn't have to be physical. You could choose to fast, not eat for a period of a day or two. All that being said, gents, what's the point? Why challenge yourself? Why torture yourself? Why push yourself to the utmost limit? The answer, gents, is perspective. The reality is when we get busy with life, we lose perspective. We forget about what it's really like to go through something tough, to go through something hard. So whenever you challenge yourself, once a year, you put yourself through something that, hey, forces you to remember what it's like to go through a bit of pain, go through something that is incredibly uncomfortable, go through something, and it shows you what you're capable of. Now, if that misogi challenge sounds like way too much, you don't have a full day to dedicate, you don't have a week to go off to some type of retreat, how about just simply start the morning off hard? So this is my son. This is what he does first thing in the morning for the last couple weeks. I'm pretty proud of him getting in there and a simple ice bath. Notice he's just using a plastic tub. Lucky for us, it is freezing cold outside. He was going out, 0 degrees, breaking the ice and getting right in there. Now me, personally, not my thing, but I am getting up at 5:30 and I am meeting with a personal trainer one-on-one via the internet, actually relatively affordable, and she is pushing me for an hour from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. every single morning, doing burpees, all those exercises that I have to admit I hate, but afterwards I feel amazing. Now I do find that fitness is one of the easiest and best examples because we all need to take care of our bodies. Most of us aren't doing a great job, and you can find someone relatively easy if you look around to hold you accountable. It doesn't cost you anything. Somebody that will meet you at the gym, somebody that's already going to the gym, simply paying for a gym membership, having somebody that will drive and follow you as you run around. I mean, look around. You've probably got somebody out there that is willing to commit to at least one time. And that's how it starts, gents. Just showing up one time, and then it turns into 2, then it turns into 4, then it turns into 8, and you keep that streak going. Next thing you know, all of a sudden you've developed the habit of starting the day off hard. Now, part of glowing up, gents, is maturing and starting to see the world as it is, not as necessarily we hope it to be. Now, as I say this, because as you're out there on the web, there are people trying to steal your identity, get access to your accounts. In fact, since this video was started, probably a dozen people have had identity theft hit them, boom, right upside the head. And speaking from experience, gents, I can tell you identity theft can cost you thousands of dollars. Well, gents, that's why I'm bringing you today's sponsor, Aura. So Aura is an all-in-one identity protection, fraud monitoring, VPN, password management, and antivirus software, all wrapped into a single app. I've been using Aura since last year and I absolutely love it. They've actually notified me. Basically, I'm out there on the dark web and they've said, hey, you got to go in and change these particular passwords. I had another example where a credit card got a double charge and guess what? It blew right through the credit limit. And usually I wouldn't catch this for at least 30 days or it let me know within minutes. So immediately I call up the credit card company, I get the charge reversed and I don't have to deal with all these issues negative on my credit. But again, my favorite part is how proactive they are. They're out there scanning the dark web, looking for your social security number, your email, your passwords, your information. As soon as they see that they are compromised, they're getting shared, boom, they are letting you know so that you can take the appropriate action. Gents, to get started with Aura and get 2 weeks free, use this link right here. Go to aura.com/RMRS. Seriously, gents, awesome company, highly recommended, proud to support it. Now, this next tip to glow up, gents, I'll admit is probably the hardest one on this list to actually do because it does change over time. And most men, we would rather be on our phones. We'd rather stay busy than think about this. And that is, who do you really want to be? Have you thought about what you want to get out of this one life? Have you written it down? Because oftentimes we fall into choices and we end up doing things that have nothing to do, they don't serve our end goal, where we want to be in life. So you got to have the courage to go your own way. I know that people use that term, the whole MAGTOW movement. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having the courage to say no and to cut things out of your life that don't need to be there. I'll use the example of alcohol. I loved partaking. Yes, I was that party guy in my early and mid 20s. And then I realized at a point, especially when I was in the Marine Corps and I was in charge of all of these other Marines as a young officer, and I realized, you know what? Me going out and being drunk, this isn't really serving a purpose. It was costing me a lot of money. A friend of mine got a DUI and it really threw his whole career off. And all of a sudden I realized, wow, like this is adding risk to my life. I'm not really getting much benefit from this. I'm not feeling great in the morning. I'm hungover. And I realized it was because everyone around me was drinking and partying it up. And I just decided to cut that stuff out of my life. It became very difficult because I married a Ukrainian woman. Anyone is familiar with the Slavic culture, you've got friends that are Belarusian, Russian, Bulgarian. I mean, just, let's just say that they like to drink over there. And it goes with every single meal. And it was very difficult to say no, but it became easier the more I said it, and when I really realized it had nothing to do with there's a reason I don't smoke, nothing against anyone smoking pot or anything like that, but for me, it doesn't align with my goals, and I've been around people that they try to, when people are enjoying something, they want you to jump in, but if it doesn't serve your goals, you've got to have the courage to go your own way. Everyone's partaking maybe in the sugary meal and you've cut sugar out of your life. Whatever it may be, guys, you got to have the courage to stick to your guns, to know, hey, this is my direction. These are my goals. Maybe it's you want to be a high-level athlete. Maybe you just simply want to live longer. Maybe you want to cut weight. Whatever it may be, look at what you got to cut off and don't let that peer pressure, throw you off track and throw you in a direction that, is going to be not where you want to be. Now, how to know where you want to go? Well, guys, maybe put together a vision board. If that's a little bit too much for you, a little bit, woo-woo, well, then simply write out a mission statement. Simply life goals. Where do you see yourself in 20 years? What does that person look like? Where does he live? The more details you can paint this picture. Maybe you just simply want to design your dream home, but the more details you can put into this, all of a sudden you're going to realize, well, guess what? I need to know what type of land I'm going to build this on. If I'm going to, the structure, you start to just get into this, but the more details you can put down here, the more likely you are to achieve and to go towards that goal. The next tip to glow up, to transform yourself into your best person, guys, journal. So this is my old journals. 20 years ago, I wrote in this. And what I love about this is I can go back and I can see my thoughts, my ideas, basically what was important to me, what was going through my head, a lot of work, but I would flip this and I would write my personal ideas on here. I've just got tons of these journals that I can go back and check out. And to this day, I still go through and I've got journals lying all over the place. I'm not consistent in them, but it is something I do. I've got journals from 5 years ago right over here, journals from 2 years ago right over there, and I can go grab them. And you don't have to grab one that is fully structured. Something like this is cool, but you can just simply have a notebook with paper and write down your thoughts. Go through what's important. Today, what are you going to do tomorrow? What's the focus for this week, for the rest of this month? By actually writing that information out, you're getting it out of your head, and it's an exercise that men have been doing for thousands of years. Seriously, one of the greatest books ever written, Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, was his own private journal. He never meant for this actually to go to the public. Thank goodness it was saved. But these were his own thoughts. Basically, he was getting the demons out of his head. He was taking those self-doubts. He was writing about things that he was wrestling with, problems that he faced, even as the most powerful man on the world. So if journaling worked for the most powerful man in the world, there's a chance it could actually help you. I know for me personally, just the exercise of writing things out, even if I'm writing out what I wrote, the same stuff I wrote out the day before, it just puts me at peace. I feel like I have more control over my day, and it calms me down and just simply makes the entire day much more enjoyable. Now, in today's video, gents, I'm getting a little bit deeper, talking a little bit philosophical, some deep topics. Do you enjoy this? Do me a favor and smash the like button, because when you do this, you let those YouTube gods know that, hey, this video is worth watching, and they share it with more men, and that's a good thing, because I think more guys need to watch videos like this. Now, this next tip to glow up is to start tracking your sleep. to gamify it. I found that this was the best way for me. And if you've got suggestions, guys, I'd love to hear from you down in the description. I use the Oura Ring. There are tons of other options, trackers. You can use your Apple Watch. There are tons of sleep trackers, some that can go right under the bed. Find what works for you. Make this one-time investment, but all of a sudden you are going to reap the benefits if you're into gamification. I know a lot of you guys love to game. If you're into video games, this is going to work for you because simply you're tracking it. You're looking at it every single day. You're saying, you know what, can I get a higher sleep efficiency? I'm in bed for, I thought 8 hours, but my goodness, I'm only sleeping 6. So when you see something like that, it starts to make sense. When you have a bad night's sleep and you can verify, you notice, I picked up that if I eat late at night, this sounds obvious to a lot of people, but I didn't think it affected me. But apparently when I eat food after 8 o'clock at night, if I'm going to bed at 9:30, I'm not going to sleep well. I need at least 2 to 3 hours to digest my food. So I made a rule. Hey, I don't eat past 7 o'clock at night. If I am hungry, I've got a shake, that I can drink some liquids and stuff. But something like that, being able to measure and see it, has helped me improve my sleep over the last couple years. And by the way, I'm harping on sleep because I assume that we all agree that sleep is so important for not only your looks and your appearance, but simply your body to be able to recover, for you to be able to think clearly the next day. You've traveled, right? You've gone to a hotel, you've gotten that beautiful 10 hours of solid sleep. Well, how could you replicate that at your house and feel like you do after you're well rested of a night of traveling? I know I went and got a nice mattress. I've tried to find some blackout curtains, but everything you can do, lower the temperature in your room, find a way to optimize your sleep, and all of a sudden your waking hours are going to be so much more efficient and effective. The next tip to glow up: stop acting like you're going to live forever. Incredibly important. If you don't take anything else from this video, write this one down, because think about it. If you knew that you are going to be dead in 6 months, what would you cut off? What would you stop doing? This is an important question. Most people don't ask themselves, but you read these stories about people that all of a sudden get a diagnosis from a doctor. They have some type of terminal cancer. It happened to my friend Jay. He had 9 months, and for him, it was about, okay, putting everything on the line, spending time with his family. He still worked a bit because he loved what he did, but he really he cut off the bullshit. And that's what you need to do. And the sooner you can do that, the sooner you are going to mature up. People are going to realize, hey, this guy, he puts important things first. He doesn't deal with BS. You still want to have meaning in your life, and you find it maybe through your work, through your church, through your friends, through building, your community up, through nonprofits, whatever it may be. But being able to spot the time wasters, the BS, and be able to say no, and to be, still nice to people, but to say, hey, I don't have time for this, because it takes away from this. And speaking of my friend Jay, I just thought of this as I'm here filming the video, so I'm throwing this one in. But have a purpose for living, because he didn't live 9 months. He actually lived 11 months, because something amazing happened within a month of, he was going through all these treatments. He thought he was basically sterile, but his wife was pregnant all of a sudden with his third child, ended up being his third son. And he's like, wait a minute, I have got to live to see my son be born. And I'll tell you, that last couple months of his life, he was in bad shape. He shouldn't have made it as long as he did. But he was able to be there at the birth of his son. And then I think within a week of his son being born, he passed away. What's interesting is you go back and look at history. I think it was Thomas Jefferson and John Adams died on the same day. And that same day was the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Now, what were the chances that that would happen? And people have looked at this, and for me, it's the case, and it's all, yes, it could be coincidence, but it's more likely attributed to these guys knew what they wanted to be able to see. These guys were founding fathers. They had written the documents that this country is still formed on. And so, I can see how these guys they wanted to live to see this important anniversary, this 50th anniversary of this young country surviving. And they were like, hey, I'm going to live to this point. And when it passed, okay, go ahead, and they could just simply rest. My point, gents, is when you know what you live for, you know what your why is, your purpose, believe me, all of a sudden you walk with more confidence, you stand with pride, you know what you're about, and people notice. And speaking of people, the next tip to glow up is to understand that socializing, that engaging with people, even if you're an introvert, it's a game. It's just simply a matter of going up, talking with people, listening to them, becoming good at small talk. People give a lot of weight to this. When somebody can go in and start the conversation, isn't afraid to introduce themselves, start talking. One trick that I always fall to is I act like somebody likes me before I even really know them, and I just have a little bit of fun with them. I'm engaging with them. I treat them like an old friend, and my body language doesn't lie. I truly want to engage with this person, and I always try to find something interesting in anyone. I'm surrounded by farmers, Green Bay Packers, and everyone around here wants to talk about hunting. This is Wisconsin. Well, guess what? I'm not a Packer fan. I do like to go shoot, but I'm not into farming. But I always find something to talk about because I've learned to ask certain questions. I let people talk. I want to learn more about their tractor. I want to learn more about how did the hunting go this season. I want to hear more about, their rifles and all these details because I'm taking a genuine interest to a degree. And sometimes they do drone on, but I like to maybe bring the conversation back. I look at it as an art form, as a game, as something that I just simply enjoy meeting and talking with people. And you'll find you have so much in common. I know as a father, I love talking about kids with parents. They always light up when they can talk about their kids. But maybe you're big into history. Maybe you're big into your church. Maybe you're big into, just simply getting that nonprofit off the ground. We'll talk to people about donations they make. Talk to people about, what do they think about, all these different, just find something. And when you can find that common ground, all of a sudden the conversation becomes like a game of tennis. You're kind of going back and forth. One person's talking, the other person's listening. And maybe oftentimes you are listening more than you are talking, but that's not a bad thing. Ask good questions. And then people just like you more because, wow, you're a good listener. Those are pretty rare out there. Now, as we're talking about glowing up, improving your style, improving your image, notice I haven't talked anything about style, anything about suits, anything about clothing, because I get it. Most of you guys are dressing casually. Well, how do you step up your casual look as an adult man and look good? Well, guys, I've got you covered in this full-on video right here where I go into tons of detail. You're going to enjoy this video. I promise I don't talk about suits, but I do talk about how you can look good as an adult man, step by step. Glow up. Find out, guys, in this video right here. It's a good one. Boom, click it. You'll go to it. It's magic.